Y muy bien, y feliz lunes. Happy Monday, feliz lunes. ¿Cómo están todos? ¿Están bien?
¿Está bien?
Ok. Yo aquí
Ya
sí.
ves, you said.
Todo va bien, todo va bien, todo va muy bien. Vale, fantástico. Vamos a practicar muchísimo con descripciones la mayoría del tiempo. Es una clase de descripciones. I hope we have time saved at the end for 1 or 2 story videos. You will be surprised at how much you pick up first time immediately with no subtitles, because they'll have some little repetitions of things that we have done, but they'll, kind of weave in, different things will weave in. So hopefully we have some time for that. Sí, al final, right up at the end. Esta clase es la última del otoño. This is the last of autumn or fall session. So, entonces, vamos a practicar muchísimo con maneras de describir las cosas, porque siempre necesitamos practicar un poquito cómo se describe como, actually there was a video I did with a different class of mine, which was sort of useful and helpful in that it talked about how sometimes when you don't have the vocabulary you need, and that happens to everybody. Sometimes that happens to us in English as well. When you don't have the vocabulary that you need, a really good skill to cultivate is being able to describe that thing, and then wind up with the punchline. Okay, so what's that? So descriptions are really a lifeblood of being able to communicate in a lot of situations. And I do want to share with you, porque es la última clase del otoño, because this is the last class of fall. If you have not yet checked out this podcast, if you have not yet checked out language transfer, make sure between the session and next, or if you're leaving us for, future reference, language transfer is a fabulous thing that will help you along the road. This will be a good thing to do in between sessions, should you so wish. Just to keep your skills kind of limber. And even for those of you who are pretty experienced, it will kind of revisit a lot of topics that you've done. You'll say, oh, this is looking at this topic that I practiced a while back in a different way. For others of you, there will be brand new information for sure in language transfer, but do try it, because it is fabuloso. And you can put it on as a you can for sure put it, I have to take that off for a moment. You can for sure put it on as a podcast while you're doing all that other stuff that we're all busy with in the last couple of weeks.
Did it have a website or an icon to put it on your iPad or your computer?
Oh, for language transfer?
Yes.
It has an app.
It does. It comes. Qué buena pregunta. Momentito. Let me see if I can find that for you.
I just downloaded it in the App Store on my iPad.
There you go. Yeah. If
I have my iPhone as an app.
I have it, I think I have both Spotify and Google Podcasts, and it's got this little thing, the Brain Gear things, but yeah, That's what it looks like in the little icon. But of course, then you have to go down and choose a language, you know. You have to check through because they have various people doing the language, and the icon always looks the same. But you can find it on YouTube, which I find not that useful because you don't really see anybody. So if you long to see who's talking on the podcast, you will not see that on the YouTube, but it's
Oh, I don't
available
see it on my app either. It's strictly listening on the app.
Yeah, it is. It is all strictly listening. There are no transcripts.
okay,
There
got you.
are, yeah. If you seek to have transcripts or things like that, I do not think they exist. I have not seen them, but it's on something called SoundCloud, but I have it on Spotify. I have it on Google Podcasts, and I would think you could probably get it on Stitcher. I would not be, I would imagine it's on Stitcher. Almost everything seems to be on that as well. So do look, it's like two little heads facing away from each other with little gears. Okay, that's the icon right up here in the upper left-hand corner. See, like I've got with my cursor. That is what that looks like, but very easy to download. Okay, ¿qué vamos a hacer? Vamos a practicar con qué y adjetivos. We're going to practice with qué and some adjectives. We're going to review the video just very, very briefly antes de empezar, before beginning. And porque es un video muy corto, ¿sí? No dura como menos de 3 minutos. And we'll see if you have any questions. And we're going to do some short breakouts with the slides that relate to this in just a bit.
¿Qué tal? Today I'll show you 3 ways you can use que in Spanish to show surprise. In Spanish, que is equivalent to what, or how. Let's see some examples.
And of course, this is when que does not have question marks, when it's not used as a question. Que has many, many, many uses, not just this one.
Número 1. Que can be followed directly by an adjective, like in oh, qué bonita, qué bonita. Qué bonita, which means how pretty. Qué barato. Qué barato. This means how cheap. Qué interesante.
Okay.
Qué interesante. This is how interesting. Número 2. Que can be followed by an adverb, an adjective, or a noun, plus a verb. Let's see some examples. Qué alta eres. Qué alta eres. How tall you are.
And notice that adjective still has to be talking about a thing or a person. So that adjective will go into the form of whatever or whomever it is describing.
Uy, qué sucio está. Qué sucio está. How dirty it is.
And notice dirty is a temporary, easily changeable condition. So not que sucio es, but que sucio, dirty está.
Qué rápido camina. Qué rápido camina. How fast she walks. Número 3. When que is followed by a noun, there is no article. Like in qué pereza. Qué pereza. How lazy, or better.
Yeah, pereza is like laziness. So yeah, it's just a noun there.
How lazy I feel. Ah, qué asco. Ah. Qué asco. How disgusting.
See, asco, you know, when kids wanted to say, when my 15 and 16-year-olds wanted to say, ¿cómo se dice gross? Es asco, sí, qué asco, asqueroso. There is an adjective form of this, asqueroso, asqueroso, pero qué asco is what you hear people say when they say how gross.
¡Qué delicia! ¡Qué delicia! How delicious.
And there, delicia is a noun. You could say que delicioso, how delicious too. Que rico, siempre.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you
Okay,
for watching.
y eso es todo. That's it for that. Es todo aquí. Bien, ahorita vamos a practicar un poquito más. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? Is there any question about how to use this?
Una
Uy,
pregunta.
sí, hay mucha. Hillary, dime.
Yeah, I was wondering, because I was looking up some words on the internet, and like if I put how strong, they put tan in after the K, tan. What does that mean, tan?
Oh, tan. Tan is kind of like so.
So,
Es tan
tan.
fuerte. Okay?
Like-
But with K, you won't hear tan very much.
Because I put like how tall or how you're so tall or how tall you are, they put K tan alta.
Es posible, but that is another step that then you have to be thinking of doing. Tan is like so. Okay, por ejemplo, tan
So,
se usa so, S-O. No,
okay, so you can just
no,
say
no
K.
sewing.
Yeah, you can
Sí,
just say
sí. Qué fuerte, qué fuerte.
K fuerte. Yeah.
Qué fuerte, see? Tan, it is possible, but it's an extra step for you to take when you don't need to. So, entonces, por ejemplo, ¿cómo se usa tan? How is tan used? Los niños son tan activos. They're so active.
Okay.
Sí.
Could you also say muy or isimo?
Pues we do not use muy with que, but muy is an intensifier, and we'll see how muy relates to isimo after we're done with this
Okay.
exercise. Muy, the idea of muy and isimo are related ideas, but are gradations of how intense something is. But with que, it is more common not to have other little words in between like tan or muy, just que and a noun, or que and an adverb, or que and an adjective. See, es lo más común. It is the most common thing. Bien, see, Hillary, did I answer that to your
Yeah,
satisfaction?
thank you.
Magnífico. Okay, Dee, tienes otra pregunta.
Yes, I
the-
have.
All of the examples were singular. I got a little confused when I had examples, some of the pictures showed multiples, like, and I wasn't quite sure. I mean, the verb.
And that was on
obviously-
purpose.
Okay, the verb obviously would be multiple. I mean, it would be plural.
Right.
I didn't know about the adjective. Would the adjective be plural too?
Adjective will be plural if
Great.
you're talking about a group of things.
Thank
A
you.
group of things, right? You've got a whole banquet table of foods, different kind of holiday foods laid out. Somebody would walk up and say, "Uy, qué ricos. How yummy these are." Talking about all of it. Es posible. It is definitely possible. Más preguntas, more questions, because we should do this before you go out. Juanita.
Yeah, asking about this, like, if you wanted to say, oh, how cute is that dog? Like, it depends on the dog. So then it's like you have to use like bonito based on the gender of the dog.
Well, ideally, but here is what I would say to you. Do you always know the gender of the dog just looking at it, kind of like, you don't know that, you don't always know. So when in doubt, you default to the masculine. If people are standing in a field and they see horses running in a pasture, they don't they don't sit and think about, are those female horses or are they male horses? Son caballos. They'll just use caballos, that general word, you know, unless they're obviously mom horses running with, you know, little babies all running after them, you know, little colts. Then they might, but then there's a different word for a female horse, yegua. It's one of the few words that get, one of the few animals that gets a different word. So, yeah, don't fret about it too much. If it's a generic animal, yeah, and you know,
And so you can say like, que bonito perrito.
Qué bonito, qué bonito, qué bonito qué bonito es tu perrito, how cute your dog is. And if they come back at you with a feminine description, then they're just not like correcting you, but letting you know what gender that animal is.
Okay.
Yeah, sí, es así. It's just that way, yeah. Okay,
Gracias.
buena pregunta, buena pregunta. ¿Hay más preguntas, sí o no? No. Okay, vamos a practicar un poquito. We're going to do the first practice together so that you get your feet wet a little bit. And then I'm going to send you off into some smaller rooms to do the same, but with a little bit of privacy. Okay. Y hay muchas posibilidades. Hay muchísimas posibilidades. There are many possibilities. Que con descripción. Que with a description. And you notice I phrase this as description because, like she said in the video, it could be a noun, but more frequently, it's going to be something like an adjective, a word that describes a thing, or maybe an adverb, because, well, yeah, it could be that too, like, you know, how fast somebody is walking. Okay, with a description. And normally we think of the word how as being como, but when we're saying, wow, how loud that noise is, we don't use como, we use que with the description. See, que ruidoso es, how loud it is. So I had sent you some of these pictures. We're going to do these together. Vamos a practicar con esto. Sí, si estamos hablando del elefante aquí, ¿cuáles son algunas posibilidades? What would be some possible descriptions using que?
Que grande.
Que grande, que
Que
grande,
gigante,
que
gigante.
que gigante. Yeah, let's get some other words that talk about big. Que grande, que gigante,
Que alto.
que alto. Oh, sí, son altos, sí, que alto, bien.
Que poderoso.
Que poderoso.
Mm.
Poderoso es un poquito como fuerte, strong, pero poderoso, powerful. Muy bien, bien hecho, bien. ¿Qué más? I am going to show you how you might hear tan. Oh, I can think of one description. If I'm talking about not just the elephant, but the elephant's ears. And if I want to say, such big ears, que orejas, orejas tan grandes, que orejas tan grandes, ¿sí? Que orejas tan enormes. Tan could come in there because I've got a noun first. Que orejas, what ears? Que orejas tan grandes. And Hillary, that might be why you saw the tan in a translation.
Okay.
Yeah. If we had a noun, that just kind of hit me now like a brick. And it's like, oh, I bet you might have. See? Que animal tan enorme. Por ejemplo, que animal tan enorme. So if I put a noun like animal, you know, your orejas, ears, then that tan may come into play. But que enorme, sí, que enorme, que poderoso, que gigante. Sí,
Que alto. Que alto.
Que alto, sí, que alto, que alto. Muy bien, bien hecho. Well done. Bien hecho. Ok, si hablamos de los carros deportivos, hay dos. Carros deportivos. This is one of your cues for a plural to practice a little bit.
Rápidos.
Qué rápidos, qué rápidos. We could use poderosos here too, because wow, yeah, they're powerful, right? See, qué poderosos, how powerful.
Que
Ah.
peligrosos.
Carrera.
Qué peligrosos, how dangerous. Bien. ¿Qué más?
Divertidos.
Qué divertidos, how fun. ¿Sí?
Que
Que-
carrera.
Mm.
Elegantes.
Qué elegantes, sí, Jeff.
Que lacio y brillante.
Ah, sí, y brillantes. Brillantes,
Yes. Mhm.
sí. Brilliant and smooth, sí. Juanita, hay otra.
Que carrera. What a,
Oh,
what a race, you know.
oh,
it's
qué
like,
carrera. You could say qué
can say that. Can I
carrera.
say that?
You could, sí, qué carrera. What a race. Qué carrera emocionante. What an exciting race. Qué carrera.
Qué
Sí.
caros.
Qué caros, how
Qué caros.
expensive. Qué caros. Sí, cuestan. Sí, los carros deportivos cuestan mucho. Entonces son muy caros. Bien, sí. Ok, hablando de la bailarina, la mujer que baila.
Gracias, ballerina.
Sí, ok.
Que flexiona. Que flexiona.
Oh, qué flexible.
Que flexible.
Qué flexible. Sí,
Que elegante.
qué elegante.
Qué
Qué
bella.
Que Graciela.
Sí, qué gracia tiene. How graceful she is.
Oh,
Gracia is gracefulness. So that'll be one of those nouns. Sí, qué gracia tiene. What grace she has.
que hermosa. Hermosa.
Qué hermosa. Qué hermosa.
When do you use hermosa versus bella, or it doesn't matter?
Bella.
Bella.
No importa, no importa. Just as you could say how gorgeous, how lovely,
Okay.
how beautiful. Is there really, yeah. ¿Cuál es la diferencia en inglés entre gorgeous y beautiful?
Beautiful.
Gorgeous y stunning.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, they're synonyms, and people will use, and you know, it's interesting that there are many words that sometimes tell you gradations or sometimes not, just plain out synonyms for beautiful. See, que bella, que hermosa, que bonita. Bonita is like down on the scale a little bit, right? Yeah, see, bonita. But there are...
Bonito movimiento.
Que movimiento bonito, sí. Que and when we use a noun, we'll bring that noun right behind the que movimiento bonito.
Bonito. Oh, okay.
Que movimiento bonito. Sí, Dee.
Can you use feminine because she's feminine?
We use the feminine because she's feminine, but if I talk about the movement, then it's
Okay.
all about that word movimiento.
Thank you.
¿No? Entonces, bien. Ok, bueno. Sí, Cindy.
Can you use flexibilidad with K?
Oh, ¿qué flexibilidad? What flexibility? Sí, se puede decir. Flexibilidad, sí. If I just said mean that she is flexible, qué flexible. Pero qué flexibilidad, what flexibility, sí se puede decir. Sí, claro. Ok, ¿más preguntas? ¿O más ideas o no? No. Ok, hablando de las frutas que vemos aquí. Okay, so talking about fruits here.
Qué bonito.
Okay.
¿Qué
Bien.
coloridos.
Oh, qué colores.
Sí.
Oh, what colors? ¿Qué colores? Let's add a description to the colors. ¿Qué colores?
Diferente.
¿Qué colores?
Diferente.
Vivos. ¿Qué colores vivos? What bright colors? ¿Qué colores vibrantes?
But I was
Quizás.
with, I also had coloridos. To have colorful.
Coloridos. Sí, es posible.
But I wasn't sure because fruit was feminine and colorido
Yeah.
brings with an O. I wasn't sure if that's.
Pues, ok. Oh, sí, coloridas, sí, hablamos de frutas. Sí, coloridas, sí, bien. Por ejemplo, qué deliciosas, qué
Muchas frutas diferentes.
Qué bonitas.
qué bonitas, sí.
Qué frescas.
Rica.
Ricas, sí. Sí,
Sabrosas.
now we could, sabrosas, sí, bien. Sabrosas, tasty. So again, we might say deliciosas, and a synonym could be ricas, and another synonym could be sabrosas. Sabrosas es como decir tasty.
Es sanos.
Saludable.
Saludables. Qué saludables. How healthy. Qué saludables. Okay.
Mine pulled up sano for healthy.
Sano sí es healthy. Como la diferencia.
Is that a person that's healthy?
Yeah, like a limb is healthy or a person is healthy.
Okay.
But a food being healthy, or like, let's say, a form of exercise being healthy, generally you hear saludable.
Okay.
Salud is health and saludable is healthful, but we would say healthy. Bien, magnífico. ¿Hay más ideas?
Qué fresca.
¡Qué frescas! How fresh. Excelente. ¡Qué frescas! ¿Sí? Sí, qué frescas. Okay, vale. We're going to have people talk about these four in some smaller group settings. I'm going to send you out for some breakout groups with this. And I will be able to share this into the breakout room with you, because you may not remember every picture, although that is hard to forget. Okay. You will see it again when you go back into the breakout room. It may take a couple heartbeats for it to get in there with you. ¿Cuántos somos? A ver, bueno, por lo menos 4, quizás 5, maybe 5. Vamos a ver. Sí. Vale, muy bien. Excelente. Okay, I'm going to send you into breakout rooms. Hit your join button, and pretty soon, you may have to wait a little bit. We'll get that next round of pictures in the room for you to look at while you're in the room with everybody else. Y practiquen en grupos más pequeños. Practice in some smaller groups with that. And I'm waiting for all those join buttons to go in. Okay, vamos a ver. Quiero ver sí. Perfecto. Uy. El reloj, un momentito. My watch. Se me olvidó el reloj. I had forgotten my watch. A ver. Uy.
in progress.
Excelente. Aquí vienen todos. Here comes everybody. Casi todos, casi todos. It'll take us probably just a minute more to get everybody back in. Aquí vienen. Here they come. Okay. Excelente. Pueden ver las fotos, ¿no? Sí. Sí. Ok. Muy bien. Ok. Por ejemplo, los paracaídos, the skydivers. ¿Qué podemos decir? What can we say about these folks?
Qué peligroso.
Qué peligroso. And we're really talking about the activity. It'll just be a singular description. Qué peligro, because the people themselves aren't dangerous. The activity is dangerous. Sí, la actividad es peligrosa. Qué peligroso. ¿Qué más?
Qué emocionante.
Cindy first, sí.
Qué loco.
Didn't quite come through, Cindy. Lo siento.
Qué loco.
Qué loco. Qué loco. Eso es, sí. Bien. Ok.
Divertida. Qué divertida.
Qué divertido, qué divertido. How
Divertido.
fun. Depende de tu punto de vista, ¿no? Ok.
Y emocionante. Y emocionante.
Qué emocionante. How exciting. Qué emocionante. Eso es. Ok, ¿qué más?
So which one is the good word for how scary? Is it aterradora, que aterradora, or demasiada?
Aterrador, sí. Oh, yeah, scary. Terrifying.
So que aterrador, you said?
Qué aterrador, sí, bien. Ok, hay más.
I had, for scary, I had escalofriante.
Ay, así, escalofriante, sí. You know, and this is one thing, if you want to say what craziness, you remember how Maria had in the video, sometimes we use a noun. The noun for loco is locura, craziness. So people might use the word qué locura, qué locura. L-O-C-U-R-A, L-O-C-U-R-A. Qué locura, what craziness. Bien, ok, bien. La fiesta, hablando de la fiesta. Talking about that party, o las personas.
Qué asombrosa.
Divertida.
Momentito. Juanita, let's take you first.
Oh, I'm not sure about saying it. Is it like que divertida fiesta or que fiesta divertida?
Que fiesta divertida, que fiesta divertida. What a fun party. Sí, Nora.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I said que abarrotado. Abarrotado. Crowded.
Sí, okay. Bien.
Got too many syllables for me.
Concurrida.
Okay. As long as it's not aburrido, because they don't look bored. Sí,
Right.
bien.
Que celebración tan grande.
Que celebración tan grande. Here, Hillary, is where that tan would come in. Que celebración, what a celebration. Que celebración tan grande. Tan festiva. Bien. Qué borrachos son.
What is that?
Sí, qué borrachos son. Quizás, maybe, okay.
What's that mean?
What is that?
Borrachos.
Oh.
Demasiado. Qué
Oh,
borrachos son. I'm making some assumptions here. Okay. Vale.
Are you saying they're drunk? Is that what you're saying?
Sí. Bueno, hablando del hombre que levanta pesas, this guy who is lifting weights.
Qué fuerte.
Qué fuerte.
Qué musculoso.
Qué musculoso.
Que bien definido.
Que bien definido. Wow, he is cut.
Ripped.
Yeah,
He's
he's
ripped.
ripped.
Ajá.
Eso es, sí. ¿Qué?
Qué guapo.
Qué guapo.
Whoa.
Qué atractivo, qué atractivo.
Wow.
Qué atlético.
Sí.
Qué musculoso. Qué musculoso.
What the word for gross was it que ochos?
Qué asco.
Qué asco.
Yeah.
There
Uh-huh.
is that camp that, I remember my husband turning this on TV when we were first married, and the competition folk, sí, qué asco. There are times, there's that fine line that defines, definido, cut, and yeah. Okay. Okay. Y los cachorros, the puppies, los perritos.
Perritos.
Cachorros.
Yeah, there's a special word, cachorros, which means a puppy,
Puppy.
a pup. So, even pup, I believe it's even used for osos, bears. It's probably definitely used for, lots of wild animals. They'll say cachorros, like wolves, foxes, sí, zorros, lobos, todo, sí. Okay, pero son perros, muy jóvenes.
Perritos.
Qué lindo.
Perritos. Okay. ¿Qué podemos decir? What can we say about these?
Qué
Qué
lindos.
lindos perritos.
Qué lindos.
Qué lindos.
Lindos perritos.
Que sí, que bonitos.
Qué adorables.
Qué adorables. Qué muy, muy, muy común. Qué preciosos. Precious. Qué preciosos.
So you say qué preciosos perritos?
Qué perritos preciosos. Put the noun. Yeah, if you're going to use the noun, pop that right behind the que. Qué perritos preciosos. Qué perritos preciosos. Sí. Y además, Bill, did you have something? No.
No, I just said bonitos.
Bonitos. Okay, bien. Vale, fantástico. Qué traviesos, how mischievous. We don't really see them being mischievous here, pero es común, ¿no? Es común. Qué activos. Yeah, they're not really super active there, but we'll see. Okay, you are definitely getting the hang of it. Vamos a hablar de estas cosas aquí. Bien. Vale, we'll do one more quick breakout with this. I will take that off, but you will see it back in the breakout room because I will share it into the breakout room after we get everybody in. Okay, bien. Hola, Trish. I know you were busy. Bueno, aquí viene. Okay, we got most folks coming back in. Vamos a esperar un poquito. We're going to wait a little bit to get everybody in. It's taking a little bit longer than I thought. Okay, aquí vienen. Here we come. Sometimes there's a little bit of a lag time. We had one on this time. Okay. Excelente, excelente. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Momentito. Ok. Si estamos hablando de algo aquí, por ejemplo, si estamos hablando aquí de esta fórmula, wow, this formula that we've got. ¿Qué podemos decir?
Qué difícil.
Qué difícil. Qué difícil.
Qué
Complicada.
Qué complicado. How complicated. Exacto. Muy bien.
Qué diversión.
Qué diversión. Bien. You know, yeah, that would be my husband, ¿sí? Sería mi esposo. Sí, sí, claro. Ok, ¿hay más o no? ¿No? Ok, a ver, bueno, si hablamos de...
What you say? What you gonna say if you say, "Oh, what a headache"?
What a headache?
To see that. When you see that.
De cabeza.
Que, no, no. That will not be, people might say que lío, what a mess, que pesado, what a pain in the neck.
Qué dolor de cabeza.
Pesado.
So PESA.
How would you say it brings back bad memories?
Oh God.
Me acuerda
Me
a
acuerda.
malas memorias. Me acuerda a cosas desagradables. Me acuerda. It reminds me. To me, it reminds. Sí, me recuerda a cosas desagradables. It reminds me of
Oh, wow.
disagreeable things. It reminds me of disagreeable things.
Hey, divertido.
¡Qué divertido! How fun! Sí, hay personas que sí, que para mi esposa sería muy divertido. For my husband, it would be a very, very fun thing.
You must be an engineer, Jen.
Sí. Ok, vamos a hablar de los atletas. We're going to talk about these, sí, de los jugadores de básquetbol o baloncesto. ¿Qué?
Salto?
Baloncesto.
We can't use salto. Salto is a jump. And you wouldn't say, oh, I know what you're saying. What a jump.
It's like, what a jump, yeah.
What, sí, que salto. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Yes, you can. ¿Qué más?
Alto, que alto.
Que altos. Probably altos there because I don't probably no short guys on that court.
Right.
Que altos. Bueno, ¿qué más?
Could you say something like
Que talentosos. Sí, perdón. Jeff?
something like K Maximo?
Máximo.
Like how high he's jumping above everybody else, kind of.
Alto.
Que alto.
Que alto.
Que alto salta. How high he jumps. Sí.
Que tenso. Que tenso.
¿Tenso?
Sí.
Tenso como.
Sí.
Sí, se puede, sí. ¿Qué difícil? Que atlético.
Emocionante.
Que emocionante. How exciting.
Que habilidoso.
Okay. ¿Qué habilidad? Habilidad.
What is that?
Habilidad is ability
Oh.
or an aptitude that somebody has
I
or
see.
something. Sí, que habilidad. Bien. Okay. Okay. Vale. Vamos a hablar and here con la gente, with the people that you see, we want to talk about this situation. Not so much every person in the crowd, because you can't see every face on every person, pero la situación me imagino es una tienda de Apple. Es una foto de una tienda de Apple. A ver, bueno, ¿qué podemos decir? What can we say about this situation? De la situación en general, ¿no? Que llena de gente, how full of people.
Que preocupado.
Que ocupado, how busy.
Que
lleno, how full.
Can you say que ocupe?
Not ocupe, ocupado, busy.
Que aborratado?
Aborratado, yeah. Crowded, packed, right? Jam-packed.
If crowd is multitude, is there some way to turn it into?
Well, yeah, multitude. You could just say, remember, we can pull a noun in, Cindy. So, que multitud, que muchedumbre. Muchedumbre is another word that means a crowd, a multitude of people. It's que multitud de gente. I would use a de gente behind that. Que multitud de gente.
Activo.
Que activo, sí. Bueno, sí me gusta mucho. ¿Hay más? Okay, si hablamos de la vista, if we talk about this view, wow, there are lots of different things you could say about this view. Si
Qué
hablamos,
exquisita la vista.
qué exquisita. Que vista, and we're gonna, if we use vista, view, we're gonna put it right behind the que. Okay, so we're doing this one last because we're gonna say que vista, que vista,
Qué vista.
Magnifico.
exquisita. Que, perdón, Jeff, dijiste algo?
Oh,
No.
Magnifico.
Que magnífica, que vista magnífica,
Qué vista exquisita.
Que tranquila.
que vista tranquila,
Mm.
que vista tranquila. Tranquila es como calming, see?
And what if we don't use vista?
If you don't, you can just plug in an adjective, sure, sí.
With the masculine or?
Probably just masculine if you drop everything
Qué
else.
bonito.
Sí.
Qué bonito.
Qué bonito.
Yeah.
Qué bello.
Pintoresco.
Sí, sí. Qué estupendo. Estupendo. Qué estupendo. Sí. Okay. Qué abierto. How open. Sí. Excelente. Sí. Ok. Qué fascinante. Hay un montón de qué colores vivos, what vivid colors, what bright colors. When we talk about bright colors, quite often we use the word vivos for colores. Qué colores vivos, what bright colors. Así es, sí. Ok.
Florido.
Vale. Bueno, ok. ¿Hay más o no?
No. Oh, can you use calma? Calma?
Qué calma. Qué calma. What calm? Qué tranquilo would be more the word that it was used there. I can't tell you why. But tranquilo. Tranquilo would be like
Tranquil.
most natural thing that would come to mind.
Calm is
Quizás, maybe, que relajante, relaxing, es posible también.
Pacífico.
Calma is used more as a noun.
Yes.
La
Yeah.
calma, sí, is used more as a noun, but as a description, tranquilo would be, or relajante, or calmante. Calmante, sí.
calming.
Calming, exacto. Calming, calmante. Estupendo, sí. Fantástico. Ok, bueno, vamos a ver. We're going to take a gander at other words or other things we can use to manipulate, manipular. Other ways we can manipulate language. Other ways that you may very well hear people describing things. And one of them is this little suffix, "ísimo." Ísimo, okay? And I did send you the video on ísimo, right? See?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So let's take a look at how we use ísimo. Ísimo is used in, pueden ver la pizarra. Can you see my screen here? Sí, okay. Now, I don't want you to think that ísimo is just used willy-nilly anywhere in any situation, right? Ísimo, but you may very well hear people use it in a lot of situations, some of them a little bit unexpected, some of them. Ísimo is a great thing. There is an almost an exact equivalent in Italian. I'm sure it has the same meaning, except they double the S, and we don't double the S in Spanish. But Ísimo is usually added on to the end of a description. Sometimes it might be, I'll give you one kind of unusual example where it was used. If you were of a certain age, you may have heard, yeah, el generalissimo. Usually general, a general, like in the army, you don't always hear it used this way, but this was like a really common. Generalissimo was used to describe Francisco Franco when he was the dictator of Spain. El generalissimo, kind of meaning that he was the general above all others. Yes, but we don't tag it on to a noun. That's one situation where it is, but usually we tag it on to a description. Okay, so ísimo bumps up the intensity. So ísimo is like saying muy, but it's even higher than muy, okay? Es muy alto, es muy alto. You know, he's very tall. Es, you know, in English, we may say he's very, very, very tall, and we'll just that very, 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 that's muchísimo. Very, very, very is ísimo. Sometimes ísimo is even called a superlative. Superlative means above all others, of course. So it's like saying the most. Okay, so a lot of times ísimo is considered a superlative, like tallest. There are other ways to say tallest. We'll talk about that when we come back in January. There are other ways to say tallest, a longer form superlative, but ísimo is often categorized as a superlative. So it tells you that whatever that quality is, it's really bumped up. But of course, we do, in this case, have to pay attention to gender. So it might be ísima, it might be ísimos, it might be the plural ísimas, right? So we do have to be very, very aware of gender when we use this. And generally when we use ísimo, we get rid of the o at the end of that description. So alto, we ditch the o. Altísimo, altísimo, altísima. See? Altísimos, altísimas. Alto is a nice short word. So we're not really making it very difficult to pronounce, but there are times when if you've got a multi-syllable word, it can make the pronunciation really kind of a contortionist issue with ísimo. So probably for you using this word, you want to pick words that are a little bit short. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. If I were to take simpático, because it is such a long word, it becomes a mouthful. So you probably don't want to pick a word like that because ísimo ends, ísimo, it ends on 3 extra syllables. Simpati, and then simpaticissimo. Then I've got also this little spelling thing. So, okay. In the video, they talked about these spelling changes, which wind up being the key sound. And that's when you've got a ko at the end. It doesn't happen a lot, but here is one word it may happen. And so I would not recommend doing simpaticissimo. I mean, you could, and actually, I mean, people would, yeah, what they might say, just, you are the nicest person. Eres simpatiquísimo? Yeah, they might. But let's take another word that will have that little spelling change. And this is a really, and you may very well hear this, right? So when we pronounce this, if you tag on the isimo after you get rid of the O, it becomes
Riquísimo.
riquísimo. Okay,
Riquísimo.
so the reason I tell you don't get too tied up in the spelling thing is that when you hear rico and you hear the k of rico, you know it's riquísimo or riquísima, okay? And that's all you really need to know, riquísimo, riquísima. So if you were spelling it out, what happens is that C turns into this. Riquísimo. And that is a phonetic thing because here is,
Wow.
and I'm going to show you why. And it's hard for me to even type this. This cannot be a word because we want to preserve the ko sound, the k that comes because ko, right? C-O-C-A-C-U is k. Rico. We want to preserve the s sound. If we just tagged on isimo to rico, it would become risísimo. Risísimo. Because CI can no longer sound like k. It can't be ki. The only way to get to the sound ki with a letter C is to change
Wow.
that C to a QU. That's why it happens. It's a phonetic thing, guys. So that's why I tell you, basically, if you were to, you're not likely to write it out because you're going to be speaking. But the reason we can't do what you see highlighted in blue is that would be pronounced risísimo, and it would no longer sound like rico. So to get back to the k sound, it has to become that spelling change. That's why that happens.
So ASCO is going to be with using quiz.
Well, ASCO will be a little bit different. Let's look at why. Qué buena pregunta. ASCO really means grossness. A quality, salud. Salud. Okay. Quality of disgusting. Yeah. But when you turn it into an adjective, it becomes this, asqueroso.
Oh.
Now, could we even turn that into an isimo? We could. But now you've got that same situation like simpatiquísimo. You've got a mouthful. And as a starter person, do you want to do this with a mouthful word? Probably not. But no, you could. Asquerosísimo. Asquerosísimo. That is just the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. Sí, asquerosísimo.
Asquerosimimo or sisimo?
Asquerosísimo. Well, it would probably go to that, but you see what happens with these really long words. So practically speaking, you want to stick to simpler words that are not a mouthful, blah, blah, blah. This is too hard to do. Let's
so you
take
can
a
just
look.
say what? If you say it's like very, very disgusting and you say that just muy asco instead of using is.
No, muy asqueroso. Sí, qué asco. How gross.
Oh.
Yeah, just leave it at that and keep it. But okay, let's go with things you're more likely to use. And rico is one that people are likely to use because they'll say super delicious, right? And what do we say in English? We say it's the most delicious, it's super delicious, super, yeah, right? Riquísimo. And you may even hear people saying super riquísimo. They may kind of double down on that. But bello. Por ejemplo, ¿cómo se dice bello? Es bello, but you want to say it is super beautiful.
Bellissima, bellissima.
Bellissimo. Bellissimo or bellissima. Sí, bellissimo, bellissima. See? So that is how the isimo works. Yeah, isimo. And we're not. Sí, sí, sí.
You're talking most all superlative here. Does the Spanish language have a comparative for like just adding más or
They
like tall,
do.
taller, tallest?
They do. That is a long-ish lesson. We will talk about that in January for sure. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah. But we're going to take a couple of simple words with isimo just so that you see how that works. And then I want to move on to one little topic before we finish out. So I want to go with some easier to pronounce words because again, this is adding on 3 syllables to every description. Feo, ugly, becomes,
Feísimo.
we drop the O, feísimo, feísimo. You are likely to hear something like this. If somebody, feo is a word that is used a lot more in Spanish, I think, than in English. Feo is ugly, literally, but you know, whenever somebody is talking about a situation that is just bad, turns out poorly, this word feo is used a lot. See, feísimo. Let's look at the easy ones. Instead of bueno, it becomes
Buenísimo.
buenísimo. Instead of malo, it becomes
Malísimo.
malísimo. So what I want you to have in your toolbox are some of these really, really, really common words that you may very well hear people use. Buenísimo, muy común. Buenísimo, they are bumping it up in that description of goodness to like the highest level. Es buenísimo. Wow, it is like super good. See? Es malísimo. Es malísimo. It's a bad situation. Es feísimo. It's an ugly situation. It, really
Like the
bad.
Apple Store.
Like
photo.
the Apple Store. Sí, exacto. So in other words, whereas we probably wouldn't say, wow, how ugly, if people mean this is just too crowded and I think this is a pain in the neck. Es feísimo. That whole situation, that is a bad scene. Es feísimo, es malísimo, es buenísimo, right? If you're not waiting in line at all, es buenísimo. Okay. Bien?
Does grandissimo, would that be both very big as well as very great? You would apply it equally?
Yes, it could be either way, right? Sí. Grandissimo. So grande ends in an e, but again, I have to get rid of that e at the end of grande. So grande would become
Grandissimo.
grandissimo. Grandissimo. It's hard for me to even type that. Grandissimo. It's easier to say it for me than to type it. Grandissimo. Grandissimo, grandissima. Sí.
And it could be great or big.
Sí. But in that case, you're going to have to rely on context because usually gran comes in front of a noun to mean great. And if you mean like super great, grandissimo, yeah, you're going to have to rely a little bit on context. Grandissimo, super big versus or super large versus great man. See?
Okay.
Depende un poco, right? Depends a little bit. So I want you to have that in your hip pocket. One other thing I want you to have in your hip pocket, because you will hear people using these all the time. And that is why we want it in our hip pocket, is this idea of ito. Ooh, I've got to see if I've got enough time for, sí. Hay tiempo. Yeah, I think there's time to show at least part of this. Una parte, because this does not require a huge amount of practice. No es tan difícil, not so hard that we need like tons of practice with this, but it does help to get a feel for what it means. Because people do like throw out these words all the time. And you might say, why are they changing this word? Well, we're making things like we're bumping up the intensity and now we're going to take down the intensity, sort of, with this idea. Oh, darn, I've got to get my screen off. Pueden verla. Can you see the girl?
Not yet.
No, okay. That's because I messed up. Momentito. Okay, a ver, ahora mejor, better? ¿Sí? Okay.
Suave, suavecito, nos vamos pegando poquito a poquito. I know you're not here for my singing, but did you just notice all the words ending in ito that I use? Great, because that's what this video is all about.
So ito is a really, really common suffix too, but it's going to go kind of the opposite, not as in worse, but it's going to shrink things. Diminutives. Diminutives have the adding these little suffixes on to make something diminutive either makes it smaller in size or as a term of endearment, making something just, you know, you love it. Okay.
Diminutive in Spanish. Hola mi gente y bienvenidos a Spring Spanish. Mi nombre es Paulísima, my name is Paulísima, and I'm one of the Spanish teachers at Spring Spanish. If you're here, chances are that you're still not sure about how to use words that end in ito or ita in Spanish, el diminutivo. This way of speaking is also used in English, and we do it by adding a little word at the beginning or at the end of a word. For example, in the word miniskirt, we add the prefix mini, or in the word doggy, we add that Y sound at the end, it's a suffix. En este video vas a aprender lo que necesitas saber para usar el diminutivo como un experto. Te voy a explicar en qué casos se utiliza. The best part is that I will share with you some Spanish chunks, specifically 2 Mexican sayings that you can use to incorporate los diminutivos into your Spanish super facilito. More about chunks and how you can use them to ease your way into fluency later on this video. And now I'm ready.
Okay, so here we go.
Wait, una cosita más.
Una cosita más. This is something you hear people say all the time. Una cosita más. One little thing more. Una cosita. And ito and ita are often added onto nouns. Sometimes onto adjectives, onto lots of things. Okay. She will describe.
Aquí en Spring Spanish publicamos.
Okay, we want to get through the
other video. En este video.
Okay. Whoops, momentito.
A diminutivo in Spanish. For most words, you create a diminutive by adding ito, cito, esito for masculine words singular. Itos, citos, esitos for masculine words plural. Ita, cita, esita for feminine words singular. Itas, citas, esitas for feminine words plural. Now, I'm going to give you some rules and examples for which one you should use when, but rules are always super annoying to think about in conversations. So the best way to get the diminutive rolling off your tongue in conversations is by memorizing the actual examples entirely. There's no way around it. It is truly the easiest and best way to learn, but don't worry because we will practice that today. Anyway, just to help you understand where all of this comes from, here are some basic rules. But again, we're not here to learn rules. Don't memorize the rules. Memorize the examples. Número 1. If a word ends in a vowel that is not an E, you drop the vowel and add ito or ita. Por ejemplo, vela, velita. hermano, which means brother, hermanito. Ahora, now, ahorita. Now, ahorita is a tricky one.
Ahorita is a tricky one. Ahorita, we're going to bypass that. Ahorita sounds like little now. What it really means is right now, like I'm not kidding, immediately now. Ahorita, but that's a very Mexican thing. Okay.
Words with just one syllable, you add esito or esita. For example, flor, flower, florecita. Tos, cough, tosecita. Número 3. Words with more than one syllable that end in E, end or R, or that end with a stressed vowel. For example, motor, motorcito. Corazón, corazoncito. Pobre, pobrecito. There are some other rules and confusing things about spelling. For example, the word banco, which means both bank and bench, becomes banquito with a QU. But honestly, you'll never be able to use these rules while speaking quickly enough. It will actually just slow you down and make you fail. I don't want you to fail. So what's the solution? Well, try to listen to as much Spanish as you can, lots of Spanish, catch the diminutives, learn as many as you can by heart so you don't have to think about the rules while you're learning Spanish. By the way, learning chunks is a great way of speaking Spanish without having to think about any grammar rules. Check out the free Spanish chunking training if you want to learn more about chunks and if you want to get a demo about how we use it, how it works. The link is in the description. Alright, like I said, you just need to hear, read, and memorize as many examples as possible of diminutives. So in the rest of this video, I will show you how native speakers use the diminutive with examples that you can just copy without having to think about the rules. El diminutivo se usa en los siguientes casos. Número 1. To reference the smaller version of something, or the small version of something, like crema, cremita, cuaderno, cuadernito.
Yeah, a little notebook. That's all it is, right?
You see, this is a normal cuaderno and this is a smaller one, so this is el cuadernito. Número 2. To express affection. To say a word in its smaller version, it's something that Mexicans do a lot to talk about something that, makes us all fuzzy and warm inside, things that cause us to be, like tender. For the vast majority of Mexicans, their grandmother, their abuela, it's never their abuela, but their abuelita.
And this is the most common thing, abuelita. Abuelita and abuelito are probably the most common. Abuelita, almost everybody calls their grandma abuelita. It's almost always ita because you're showing love for grandma. Abuelita. Abuelito, you're showing love for grandpa.
I call
no, not the same for mamacita. Not the same necessarily. Mamacita is more, hey baby. Yeah, okay. But abuelita, yeah, abuelita, abuelito, grandma, grandpa. Okay.
My sisters hermanitas, even if they are not younger than me. Aún más.
Yeah. So whereas hermanito in general, like if I had no context, hermanito generally means a younger brother, hermanito, a little brother, a younger brother. But you could use hermanitos or hermanitas to just say that my dear sisters, my dear brothers. Okay, so it can be kind of a double meaning there. Although hermanito out of context, I would generally take to mean a younger brother, a little brother, literally. Okay.
Moreover, in Mexico and in Latin America, it's very common that when we talk about God, Dios, we don't say Dios, but we say Diosito. And it's very funny when you think about it in English because Diosito will translate as little God. And obviously, if you're a believer, there's nothing small or little about God, but we use this term, Diosito, to convey our love and affection and familiarity with such entity. Número 3, to reduce the importance of a situation. Perdón, pero no voy a poder llegar, es que tengo un problemita en casa.
Oh, yeah. Also to make it small and therefore downgrade. Oh, it's not so serious. Yeah. Es que tengo un problemita. I got a little problem. So you're telling somebody it's not a big deal, right?
In Mexico, we use the diminutive in this way to talk about like all of these hypercaloric foods that we probably shouldn't be eating, but we do anyway. So we say things like we're going to have unos taquitos o un pozolito o unas quesadillitas when there's really nothing small about them. Scratch that, you know what? I hate diet culture. Eat what you wanna eat the pozolito, eat the quesadillitas, no guilt. We also use el diminutivo to reduce the magnitude of something. Let's say we're talking about an ugly baby. Yeah. Ugly baby. Yeah, I said that. There are some babies that are ugly, okay? But we don't say that they are feos. We say that they are feitos. In this case, take a look at this little kid. Ese bebé no está feo, está feito. And it's actually not feito, it's feita. It's like little ugly. And that's me. So it's okay if you saw this picture and you thought, oh, este bebé está feito. It's all right. That's me. No problem. Número 4. To convey sarcasm or a negative vibe.
Oh, okay. So that will only happen if you're really, negative vibe is that's very subtle.
There's a huge difference between calling your friend and saying, hola, amiguita, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cuánto tiempo?
Hey, buddy. See, oh yeah, buddy, amiguito, amiguita. That's not sarcastic. But somebody may use amiguito in a sarcastic way. Hola, amiguita, ¿cómo estás? Hey, friend, how you doing? ¿Cuánto tiempo sin escuchar de ti? How long since I've spoken to you?
Tiempo sin escuchar de ti. To say, y dile a tu amiguita que no te llame después de las 10, ¿eh?
And tell your little friend that's got attitude. Dile a tu amiguita, it depends on the tone of voice sometimes. Tell your little friend not to call after 10 o'clock. Dile a tu amiguita, amiguito. That might be used as a sarcastic term, but you got to kind of read into the situation.
Tell your friend not to call you after 10. Y lo prometido es deuda. Here at Spring Spanish,
okay. Y eso es todo. That's it for now. I will send you the whole video so you can watch the whole thing through. I had to cut some sections out because I did not want it to go too terribly long over time. But know that ito or cito, and don't worry too much about is it ito or cito, because you'll hear people using it that way. And I'll bring some little examples in at another time. But eso es todo. That is really it, because I don't want to go too far over because I know people will have time obligations. Okay, todo bien? Todo bien? All good?
Sí.
Todo bien. Excelente. Okay. Bueno, es la última clase del otoño. This is last fall class. It does not feel like fall. Miren, sí, tengo chaqueta y algo así con el collar. Ay, sí, así es. Pero de otoño, sí, la última clase de otoño. Fue un placer. It was a delight. I hope to see many of you back for winter.
When is the next class?
The next class, I believe, is January 10th.
Yeah.
Yes.
January
10th. Vamos a ver. January 10th. It does say 10 o'clock. So here's what we're going to do. Para que sepan. So you know, I am going to start at 9:30, but we'll do some banter stuff because there are some people who told me, I am sad that they published that at 10, but I had told them, please, you mistook, please correct it to 9:30, and somehow it got published with 10 o'clock. So there may be some new people joining who must be there at 10. We'll discuss this first class. I will start at 9:30 because some of you I know do have to leave early. So to compensate for that, we will start early and we'll just do some not, you know, I mean, if we have a situation where somebody says, hey, I cannot be there at 9:30, because it's got to be a 100% agreement, you know, because it was published that way. So if we're in that situation where we have some people who can only be there at 10, we'll do the quick banter thing for the first half hour, some back and forth, just practice, but not a formal lesson that somebody would miss. Okay, that sound reasonable? Sí, razonable.
Do we need to sign up for a new semester and like through Parks and Rec, or is this one starting January 10th part of this, what we did for this part?
If you want to be in January, you do need to sign up for the January class. Same time, yeah, you know, same day, still Monday, no difference at all. Just keeps rolling along, just keep practicing with different things. But you do need to register. See, every season they register, because some people choose to, if they're traveling a lot, not do one session, they come back another session, lo que sea, whatever it may be. Bien?
Okay.
Okay.
Grazie.
Todo
Excellent.
perfecto.
Excelente. Muchas gracias. Catherine, I have not seen that certificate yet from you. So if you
I'll
need.
send it. I'll send it.
Okay. I didn't know if I had missed it.
I kind of wanted to see what the city sent, and then if I needed something different.
Entendido. Understood.
Thank you so much for that.